Welcome in, Anita on the mark. Actually, today it's Anita on the rail. I was on the rail yesterday. We're going to get to that in just a few minutes. But welcome in. This is our Belmont preview show. Belmont Stakes, of course. This is our Triple Crown. Dan Torgman from ABR is going to be my co-host today. Dan, we left the best for last, hence why you're here.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It is awesome being here at this specific venue. I didn't even know this was here, the Walt Whitman Brewing Company.
It's amazing. So we're broadcasting from the Walt Whitman Brewing Company. It's an unbelievable venue here in Saratoga. If you're planning on coming to Saratoga in July and August, I know that's the season. You definitely have to check this place out. After, of course, we won yesterday. Again, we'll get into that in just a little bit later. We came here to celebrate. It was phenomenal. And the Gen Blossoms actually were performing right in downtown Saratoga. All the things, it was great. By the way, the show brought to you by Naira Bets. Bet the Belmont Stakes. Experience the thrill of the sport of kings. Yesterday it was queens. With Naira Bets horse racing app. Fast, easy, and of course secure. Get your free $25 Derby bet plus a $200 deposit match at nairabets.com/Anita25. Of course, that is me. Some other sponsors with the show. Final Furlong, that is very near and dear to me in regards to stake in stardom, that ABR introduced me to Vince Roth. He's going to be on the show a little bit later. Cold Flame Ventures, some of your best whiskey, scotch, and gin. We'll get into that a little bit later as well. And of course, again, we're coming to you live from the Walt Whitman Brewing Company. So let's dive into it, right? Enough. We know you want us to feed you some winners. That's what we're here to do. So the Belmont Stakes, a few top storylines here, right? And let's talk about Saratoga. The fact that this is the second consecutive year that Saratoga is hosting the Belmont Stakes, because the Belmont racetrack is getting a Kardashian facelift.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. Yeah, it's going to be spectacular when it's ready. Estimates at this moment are that Belmont Park will be ready at some point next fall, which comes after next year's Belmont Stakes. So if you're doing the math, there may be one more year here, but that's still TBD. But the new Belmont Park is going to be spectacular.
I'm hearing phenomenal things, but also Saratoga is just really special. And I owe you and ABR a huge thank you for getting me more involved in horse racing. And this is my second year up here, and I'd be thrilled to come up here for a third year as well. In regard to the race, really, it's the distance, right? Because up here, it's 1.25 miles. Back down in Belmont, it's 1.5 miles. So how are handicappers taking that into effect in handicapping this race?
So I think when you look at any horse race, you've got to try to assess the pace of the race. What does the speed look like? Are there a lot of speed horses? Are there fewer speed horses? Obviously, when you have fewer horses overall, the likelihood of there being fewer speed horses is greater, and that's the case with this year's field. There's not a whole lot of speed, so it may not set up as well for a horse coming from off the pace. Also, traditionally, when you handicap the Belmont Stakes, you could look at pedigree, and pedigree will tell you pretty clearly which horses can make 1.5 mile distance. 1.25 miles is a little more gray. It's a 1/4 mile that, shorter, and some horses who can make that 1.25 mile distance can't necessarily make the 1.5 miles. So it really plays into, I think, for the people who are doing this every day, which I'm one of them, and some of the guests coming up are fall into that category as well. They're sort of there are fewer key identifiers that would kind of point you to, oh, that's the horse, because that horse can make the distance. Here, it's a little more wide open, I think.
Interesting. As I said, this is the first time since 2007 that there's only 8 horses in this race. I mean, that's a really small field. So how does that affect the handicapping?
Yeah, look, it's only 8 horses, but there are some quality horses here. You've got, obviously the top 3 from the Derby coming back, the Preakness winner, the Derby winner. So it's quality horses. I think that makes the puzzle as challenging as anything. And so the fact that you have fewer horses really plays into, like I mentioned, the pace analysis. Where you don't have as many horses in this race with a lot of early speed. So that has to impact the way you look at how the race might unfold as a whole.
The first Belmont Stakes race, $2,500. This one, $2 million.
Oh, I didn't even know that. $2,500.
You know where I found that out? On ABR. I'm just saying. Got
to read our stuff more often.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So let's start doing a deep dive into these horses. And probably the biggest storyline, right, is sovereignty against journalism, right? You've got sovereignty, the winner of the Derby, journalism, the winner of the Preakness, and now they come together and it's, horse against horse at the Belmont Stakes. No Triple Crown at stake here, but nonetheless, two really phenomenal horses going at it. Don't you feel that's the biggest storyline on Saturday?
Yeah, look, really nice horse. Obviously, won the Fountain of Youth Stakes at Gulfstream Park. Then came back after that big effort and was just a touch short in the Florida Derby, then comes back and runs this massive race in the Kentucky Derby. My only concern with Sovereignty is that he ran a career best race, and the last time he ran a career best race, he kind of regressed slightly, kind of took a slight step back. So that would be my only concern with him, but it's the Derby winner coming in fresh. He didn't have, all that added stress of having to run in the Preakness. They took that race off. So he comes in fully rested, and his main competition, Journalism, as you know, has run the Derby and the Preakness. So he may be a little worse for wear, not Sovereignty. So if you want a fresh horse, he's the one.
And you talk about Journalism again. Journalism won the Preakness, so I think that's the big storyline, right? The winner of the Derby, the winner of the Preakness, and they meet again here at the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. But as you said, third race in 5 weeks. Like, how much more gas does this horse have in its tank?
We'll find out. I mean, I think he's freakish. I think he has the ability to be a generational talent. I really do, especially with the way he won the Preakness. He had issues with, he bumped. He went through a tight hole. It was really a very, very precarious ride and journey for him, and he made it out of that race. And got up in time. I think he's freakish. He gobbles up ground like not many horses I've seen before. So I like Journalism a lot. Would I be surprised if he didn't run his A race? No. I think even if he runs his B or C race, he still finishes in the top 3.
He's coming out of the 7 post, and the horse that I want to talk about the most is Baeza. Coming out of the 6th slot, and arguably has the best jockey on his back in flat. Came in 3rd in the Derby, but has the potential to maybe pull the upset on Saturday. So what are your thoughts on Baeza?
Look, the only thing I don't like about Baeza is that everyone likes Baeza. Baeza is the buzz horse. He is the horse of the moment. He's 4-1 morning line. I guarantee you his price is going to be shorter than that. I think he's going to be closer to 5-2 or 3-1. And at that price, I don't really want him. I think he has every shot at taking advantage of the fact that he is the one on the rise, and horses like Sovereignty and Journalism may take a slight step back here. But for me, I'm going to kind of avoid this horse in the win spot just because I think his price is going to be a touch short, but incredibly talented. He does need a little bit of pace set up in front of him, so we'll see how the pace sets up, if there is speed for him to run into. But I think Baeza is a legit horse. I just don't want him at a short price.
Got you. All right, let's talk about some of the other horses that are going to be strutting their stuff, no pun intended. Rodriguez, coming out of the 3 post, now had a foot injury, so got scratched in the Derby, wasn't healthy enough for the Preakness, but won the Wood Memorial. So, and from what I understand, this is the speed horse in the race.
Yeah,
correct?
so he should be the main speed. There's a horse named Crudo, who was a late entry, who also has speed. So that's the X factor, right? Does Crudo make Rodriguez work for it? Is Crudo potentially faster than Rodriguez? We don't know. We haven't seen them together. We haven't seen much of Crudo, to be honest. So Crudo could be a horse that really makes life difficult for Rodriguez. If Rodriguez gets loose, is out on the front, gets to the lead, doesn't face any pressure, he becomes a little more dangerous. But I do think Rodriguez is a touch below these. He's been up against Journalism before, and Journalism easily beat him. So I'm not enthralled with Rodriguez, but I think he has a shot to at least hit the board, finish in the top 3, if he doesn't face as much pressure from Crudo.
And he's a Bob Baffert horse. Bob Baffert looking for his 4th win here in the Belmont Stakes. Hill Road, coming out of the 1 post, Chad Brown horse, likes this distance. Irad will be on his back, and this is more of like the closer in this race, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. First of all, I love Hill Road.
Okay.
So this would be
Good to know.
This would be my long shot. This horse is 10-1, and you're going to get, I think, every bit of 10-1. Irad, as you mentioned, taking the ride here for the first time. When he takes over for anyone, it's a massive upgrade. He's taken over for Flavian Pratt, who's probably 1A to Irad. But this is a horse who wins the Peter Pan Stakes last out. In his 2-year-old season, rallied from off the pace to finish third in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, which is a big race at the end of the year. In his races where he hasn't won, he hasn't had any pace set up at all. They've been very slow races. I'm hoping that Crudo and Rodriguez ensure a solid pace. And I think Hill Road, aside from Baeza, is the fastest improving horse in this race, and you're going to get a price that's 4x what you're going to get on Baeza.
All right, I'm circling him. Yep. This is Dan's guy.
This is my horse.
This is his horse, guy.
I will make one guarantee. This horse will finish in the top 4. Now, that may not do anything for you, but if the horse runs his best possible race, sovereignty and journalism regress slightly, I think Hill Road finishes second or third.
Heart of Honor coming out of the 8-post, English-bred horse, and a very interesting story because of the father and daughter combination, trainer, jockey, and Safi Osborne, if this horse was to win, will become the second female jockey ever to win here in Saratoga at Belmont Stakes. So anything you like of Heart of Honor?
No. I like the story.
Just a great storyline.
It's a great storyline.
You know, pulling at the heartstrings.
Yeah.
Father and daughter combination.
I mean, the horse finished 5th in the Preakness, well beaten, and you've got 2 other monsters joining this field. I don't see Heart of Honor making up.
You mentioned Crudo, a Todd Pletcher, one of 2, Uncaged and Crudo are both Pletcher horses. Crudo, son of Justify. This is a horse, again, you mentioned the speed. Some people feel could go wire to wire, possibly.
Yeah, look, I think it's going to be tough if the horse gets out to the lead, and if we see the track like last year's Belmont Stakes, we saw the track playing to speed. So a horse like Dornock, who got to the front, went fast, was able to stay there, stay on the rail. It all depends on how track dynamics work out on Saturday. If the track benefits speed, if it's playing in favor of speed horses, a horse like Crudo could stay up there for a while, but he has a lot to prove. Same thing with Uncaged. I mean, there's just a big leap either one of those horses would have to make to really be in contention here.
All right, so I'm walking away thinking Hill Road, possibly win, place, show. We'll see if he runs his best race. We still have a lot more coming your way. Giddy up, baby. Mark DiLorenzo is going to be joining us next. We'll have him take us to the window as well. And we've got a slew of guests. We're getting you locked and loaded for the Belmont Stakes. All right, farewell to Dan, although he will return towards the end of the program. Hello to Mark DiLorenzo from Giddy Up Bets. I love that. I love Giddy Up. It's awesome.
Giddy up.
Giddy up, baby. And so great to have you on. We've been working together now for, I want to say like 3 years now. You've been on my programs handicapping and you've won me some good dough. So let's dive into it. And it's the Belmont.
Well, congratulations. Yesterday.
Thank you.
K-Cup.
Thank you.
Wins the stake.
I know.
Told you before the race the horse was going to clear. And
you did.
You got it. You were excited, and you got even more excited as it was coming down the stretch.
It was like he had a crystal ball. He told me exactly how the race was going to play out. And again, Vince Roth from Final Furlong is going to be joining us momentarily. And we've got video from yesterday we're going to share with you, so stay tuned for that. I'm still high right now. I feel like
that's what makes people keep coming back.
I feel like I took an everlasting gummy right now. That's how I feel. But let's dive into it. It is the Belmont Stakes. Probably one of the biggest storylines, at least I think, is you got Sovereignty who won the Derby, you got Journalism who won the Preakness, and these 2 monsters are going to come together and hash it out in the Belmont Stakes. I want to talk about that. I know that there's a horse that you really love in this race, but before we do, one thing I did not discuss with Dan is the weather. Not that you play a meteorologist, but get us in the know. What can we expect from the weather on Saturday, and how is that going to affect your handicapping?
The weather here in Saratoga is a fickle, funny thing. It's like somebody explained it to me, and I'll butcher this up, but we're right in like the gap of like the Canadian cold weather and then the warmer weather, so you get thunderstorms up here all of the time. So it's very hit or miss, but it looks like right now it's going to rain. It's not a question of if it's going to rain, it's just kind of how much, which will affect the dirt races, but it's going to affect the turf races on Saturday even more.
Okay.
Because the more given the ground, the different types of horses either really like that or don't. So the turf races for me, having an analysis, having an opinion, doing my research, I'll have it all done by Saturday, I'll have it done by tomorrow. But who I really like in the turf races on Saturday is going to be tough until I see how much rain we have gotten. The dirt races, probably going to be muddy. There'll be some moisture in the track. Sometimes that favors speed. It favors horses that are going to want to be on the outside to avoid some kickback. So I'll kind of look at that and, be able to wait and define some horses who I might like a little bit more or a little bit less because of that. But it's going to rain, I believe. Currently right now it says 80% chance of rain.
All right, so let's talk about the two monsters in this race, right? And let's talk about the one that's favored, and that's journalism. 3 races in 5 weeks. That's a lot. How much gas do you still think this horse has in its tank?
That's the big question. They waited. They're doing the right thing. Mike McCarthy is one of the best trainers in the world, one of the best trainers in California for sure. They waited until just a couple days ago to make sure the horse was doing right, had fuel in the tank. I believe if they thought that the horse was not at the same level of consistency or the same level peak performance-wise as it was going into the Preakness, that they probably wouldn't run. So I'm not too concerned about that, but yes, being the only horse between the main contenders in the race, you could say, being the only horse that's going to run in all 3, and it's a lot. It's what horses used to do all of the time. The horses don't run 3 times in 5 or 6 weeks anymore. It's just, it's tough, but this horse has shown a ton of heart, a ton of grit. It's shown a ton of talent, but not only does it run huge in the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, it also ran and had sat a pretty hard trip in the Santa Anita Derby as well, which it needed to win to get into the Kentucky Derby. So that was a must win for the horse. Then the Belmont Stakes are going to be fully cranked, ready to go. Preakness, again, they thought that. So carrying that form for now a couple of months is always a tough thing to do, but this horse has the talent to do it. It's a deserving favorite. It's going to be between him and Sovereignty of who will probably vie for favoritism. I think that they're both close. They both finished right there with each other. Going the 1.25 miles, though, could have some question marks. I believe I could have beat Sovereignty if it really wanted to, I felt, in the Kentucky Derby, but the top 3 in the Kentucky Derby really, I felt, separated themselves in the division. So,
and it's interesting, right? Because you've got Sovereignty, who's had 5 weeks to prepare for this, right? Because took the Preakness off. Meanwhile, again, we're sitting here talking about how much gas does journalism still have left in its tank, considering that this will be its 3rd race in 5 weeks. A little birdie told me that you love Baeza in this race. You've got, of course, Sovereignty and journalism going, but you're thinking Baeza very well can pull the upset. Why?
If Baeza's hit Sovereignty's trip in the Kentucky Derby, it wins. Baeza was lightly raced in the Santa Anita Derby. It made its first run. It made first run into a pace that collapsed. So it used up energy and fuel earlier than journalism did, even though journalism was boxed in. I saw a really talented horse to finish second in the Santa Anita Derby. It then was on the also eligible list in the Kentucky Derby. A few horses needed to scratch. What happens when you're on the also eligible list is that you end up drawing the widest post. So there were 19 horses in the Derby. You drew 19. You're all the way on the outside. What are you going to have to do? Flavian Pratt had to try to tip in. The horse got hung a little bit wide most of the race. Then it's making its move coming around the turn, had to steady in check, which is so tough for a 3-year-old in a big field like that it's never run, on the slop. Steadied, took some energy out of the horse, still came back on, flying late, gallops out past the other horses. I'm like, all right, well, we've got a runner here. And I'm like, they're not going to run this horse to the Preakness? What are they going to do? They're going to line up for the Belmont Stakes. Belmont Stakes is usually at 1.5 miles when it's run at Belmont. Here it's going to be 1.25 miles.
Right.
If this race was being run at 1.5 miles, I would probably say I would make one of the biggest bets of my life. But it being run at 1.25 miles, it's very tough to separate the top 3. I think the top 3 main contenders are the ones to beat, but the one that I feel is going to be the most value will be Baeza because it has not won a Triple Crown race. I feel that it's still lightly raced. It's on the improve, so I'm always looking for, it's not always about what horses have done, but more or less what horses are going to do. Partially the reason why I think Baeza is the definite play and bet on Saturday.
So as I always like to say, take me to the window, hold my hand, because, some of us who, aren't as savvy. So take us to the window. Mark, how are you betting the Belmont Stakes?
So I'll look up at the tote board with 5 minutes to post. I'll look at the will pays and give me some type of implied odds of what I think the horse is going to be price-wise. Baeza morning line, I believe, is 4-1. Mm-hmm. If I get anything close to 4-1, we're betting Baeza to win. If Baeza is closer to the odds of Sovereignty and journalism, I'll still bet the horse to win, but I won't bet as much because it's like my father taught me back when I was first learning. it's just like in any sport, you know, you're betting the team, but you're betting the number. You know, you could think the Jets are not, you know, have no shot against the Dolphins this week, but if you're giving me 15.5 points, or you're giving me 14.5 points, I might take the Jets. So same thing in horse racing. If you're giving me 4-1 on Baeza, if you're giving me that price, I'm making a big bet to win on Baeza. And a lot of people like to take 3 or 4 horses and box them and, you know, try to win the race. If you're a once-a-year player or you only play the Triple Crown, I would recommend picking the couple horses that you like, listening to who we kind of like. Dan probably likes Hill Road because he thinks that horse is going to improve.
He does like Hill Road.
Yeah, for sure. I know who Dan likes before Dan knows. I know because Hill Road, who's the number 1, Chad Brown, is also another horse that's going to improve. He's going to be coming at the end. He's going to need a speed duel. He just, I don't think, has the same caliber quality level as the others. That could prove me wrong, you know, but that horse is a horse that you could use underneath. I don't think the horse is going to win, but walk me to the window, go back to your original question. Baeza to win, and then, like I said, for me, I play every day, I'm going to use that horse on top. So if that horse doesn't win, I'm not winning any money.
Wow. A lot to digest there, of course. Last thing, really quick before we let you go, I always like to give our viewers, our listeners, a little bit of coin. Like let's send them into the Belmont Stakes.
Add the account.
Exactly, playing with some house money. Is there a horse? Is there a race that you really love prior to the Belmont Stakes that people can possibly win and then use those winnings for the Belmont Stakes?
Yeah, you got to print a little money. You got to pad the account a little bit to get into the bigger races. That's my style. The turf, like we just went over with the weather, the turf races are a little tricky for me to fully digest. I could have some opinions in those earlier turf races, but I really want to see how the weather plays out, how the track is playing. The track definitely favored speed the first day of racing on Wednesday. It's going to sound a little bit chalky or a little bit like, you know, favoritism, and you're not going to get that big of money, but padding the account, I am all in, chips all in on Fierceness in the Met Mile. White Barrio has won the Whitney on this track. White Barrio won the Breeders' Cup Classic. White Barrio is very, very talented. White Barrio is now a 6-year-old. We've seen his peak races. I know what his tops are. If he runs one of his peak races, he might win. He's going to be a favorite over Fierceness, I believe, but I like to take similar analogy to Baeza. I want horses that are going to be on the improve. It's not so much about what they have done, what they're going to do. Fierceness was the best 3-year-olds, was one of the best 3-year-olds in his class. He didn't sit the right trip in the Kentucky Derby. I also think that the 1-turn Met Mile distance is going to come out of the Wilson chute at Saratoga is a perfect distance for him. Draws the rail, going to get out there. He'll be out in front, and it's going to be catch me if you can, and he is a freakish type animal. I've seen him in the mornings the last week. He's gotten bigger, better, stronger, probably be even money, but I'll play doubles, exactas, trifectas, win. We'll be all in on Fierceness.
And what race is that?
That's race, I believe, 8 in the Met Mile.
Fierceness leading into Baeza. That's how Mark DiLorenzo from Giddy Up Bets is playing it. Thank you for joining us on the show. Really appreciate it. Wealth of knowledge right here. This gentleman has won me a lot of money. But with that being said, let's take a look at our sponsors, all our phenomenal sponsors who are helping make this show happen. Our Belmont Stakes preview show brought to you by Naira Bets. Bet the Belmont Stakes and experience the thrill of the sport of kings. With Naira Bets horse racing app, it is fast, easy, and secure. Get your free $25 Belmont bet plus a $200 deposit match at nairabets.com/Anita25. Also, America's Best Racing, Final Furlong, my connection with them in Stake and Stardom, You Go, K-Cup, Cold Flame Ventures, Good Intentions in a Bottle, Wing Woman Reserve Whiskey, a 9-year-old Scotch, also have an 8-year-old Scotch whiskey as well. A portion of their profits benefits and supports anti-human trafficking organizations. By the way, the 8-year-old Scotch whiskey was a finalist at the 2023 Scottish Whiskey Awards. And Il Dottore Gin, a sippable Italian gin that benefits and supports autism causes, specifically Sophia's Mission in New Jersey. That gin was also awarded a gold at the 2023 Bartenders Spirits Award. Both brands are available at events.thespirits.com. handicappers.shop. All right, joining us on the program, Will Krager, owner. This establishment is unbelievable. It's the Watt and Whitman Brewing Company. First of all, like, we love shooting here. It's awesome. Not to mention, after our win yesterday with K-Cup, we came here immediately to celebrate. Food, beer was great, service was awesome. Talk about this establishment and how it came to be here in Saratoga.
I think we're a space that's really about, two things. I'd say, like, craft and community. It's a spot where you get all types of people from the community come in, young families, young professionals spending their day in that cafe, getting the day started, and then it's great to see people spend their entire day here with us and come to the brewery at night, right?
I love, it's coffee in the morning and then it's beer in the afternoon and the evening. I love that concept.
We really see a meld of the two cultures, right? And it allows the space to really flow, I think, very easily, and makes it a very approachable, kind of laid-back feel that makes people, we believe, feel at home when they come into Watt and Whitman.
Well, listen, July and August is going to be insane up here, right? Like, every Saturday, the track, it's a thing, and people, I know a ton of people down in New York and New Jersey, they flock up here. A lot of them rent a home for the month. How excited are you for this year's season?
Oh, we're thrilled for this year. We love track season every year. This year especially, we are going to have 2 of our beers over at the track, pouring at restaurants over there, and then we'll also have a booth where we'll be set up pouring our beers as well for the summer. So we're really looking forward to this summer in particular, to really grow the brand as a small local brewery.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome being at the track yesterday. I had a few of your beers while I was there, and they were absolutely delicious.
In celebration.
So, so with that being said, I love your life here, right? Having this great establishment, and of course, heading to the track. And you said you were at the track earlier today, and you saw Baeza while you were there. Do you have a horse that you fancy coming up on Saturday?
Yeah, I love Sovereignty in the race. The Motts are good friends of ours. They've trained horses for us before, and so I'd love to see them be able to do it at their home track in Saratoga.
So you're going with Sovereignty?
I'm going with Sovereignty.
It's going to be fun. There's no denying that. Will, thank you so much for being so gracious, and what a great venue for us to film this show. And for everybody out there, you're planning a trip to come up to Saratoga, this is a must-stop destination for your coffee and your beer, and to celebrate. Hopefully, you will be a winner as well. Will, thank you so much.
Thank you, absolutely.
All right, I have a special guest joining us, and it is Vince Roth from Final Furlong. Again, our connection, America's Best Racing, began Stake in Stardom, and bringing a lot of broadcasters such as myself, I work at ESPN, and aligning us with stables. And so, God bless, they were like, Final Furlong, all about the fillies, Anita, woman power. I think you'd be great with Vince and Final Furlong. And so here we are, and we're like 2 years in.
Yeah.
And we finally got a winner yesterday.
And we've been close a couple of times.
I
think you've gotten a third and a second and then a third again. And
I am still high from yesterday. And just so folks have a really clear understanding of exactly what we're talking about, K-Cup won race 6 yesterday. Take a look.
They're in the gate. They're off in the Bowery.
She's moving.
Inside the 8th pole, and K-Cup has taken command.
Let's go, baby! Let's go!
And run by Bernie and the Rolls. K-Cup, a promising filly indeed, pulls clear to score by 3.
And you saw it like in full force today. So really awesome, great job, love this.
Girl power.
Right,
Girl power, let's
power,
go.
baby. Girl power, yeah. I mean,
how cool was that?
bucket list. Okay, I mean, absolute bucket list. It was unbelievable. I mean, what was it like for you?
I mean, we've been there before, like we've won races before, but it's always special at Saratoga, stakes race. We had a lot of partners there. We actually just put together a new offering the other night, so we've gotten, flooded with inquiries on our website already, but just to be there at Saratoga, the special day, Belmont stake schedule, New York showcase, and then to win the stake, I mean, you saw it. It was great.
It was unbelievable, really. And I've had a few people ask me, okay, what now, right? What happens now, right? Like I know your staff, your team, trainers, keeping a good eye on her, making sure that she comes out of this race okay. Fingers crossed, everything good.
Yeah, she was super happy this morning. We went, early this morning over to the stable and gave her a pet on the nose. She looked very happy. What's next? We leave that up to the trainer and my partner. He's very good at selecting the races that they hit next. We have some big ideas though.
We had Mark DiLorenzo on the show earlier, and he asked me if she's going to be in the test. There's some big expectations for her. There's some big expectations for her.
From your lips, we'll say. I mean, we love Saratoga. Clearly, she likes the track. If she gets in that race, I will be very excited to do this again with you.
Yes, because I will definitely be up. Before we let you go, let's talk about Final Furlong, right? Like, I know what my experience is, but kind of explain to the folks out there what Final Furlong is about and how you really select your horses.
Yeah, I mean, well, I have my partner here. I'll go through the whole selection process of the horses, but I'll give you a brief, rundown. A lot of people think being involved in horse racing is unattainable, or it's the rich man's sport. I mean, that's, changed over the years with syndicates like ours that allow partners in at smaller percentages. So we have partners that own 3, 5, 10% of fillies and get hopefully every time the same experience like you had yesterday.
It was a great experience, but I would love to talk to your partner. Let's get him in.
Before that, I brought you a gift.
You did?
I did.
Look at
I
this.
think it'll look great on you.
Oh, wow.
You're the first one to get one.
I love it. I love it. We should have had you on first. I would have worn it for the show.
Oh, that's all right. Next time.
Thank you so much.
You got it.
All right, out with Vince, in with Dan Zanata, of course, from Final Furlong. First things first, congratulations again.
Thank you.
Talk about K-Cup. What a spectacular win that was yesterday for you and your group.
Yeah, so Vince gave a good overview of what it means for us. We measure success in many different ways, right? And one of the ways I measure success is block type wins, block type earnings. And one of my goals is to get to a decade of block type. And yesterday marked year 8. So it's our 8th consecutive year of having block type earnings with a filly.
That's great.
So we have 2 years to go, but that was the first block type earnings of this year for us. So check this year off. And so that was really exciting for me to kind of continue that distinction. Because when it comes to selecting horses, we don't have big budgets. We're not buying a ton of horses, dozens of horses every year. It's a very narrow pool that we have. So in order to have that accomplishment of winning stake races is really important for us, and it's quite an accomplishment for the whole team that's involved.
I had the pleasure of taking a trip down to Ocala and meeting with your trainers down there who were awesome, and was able to see your 2-year-old, the 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds in the system that you have down there, and I was thoroughly impressed.
Yeah, so Brandon and Allie, who run the farm down in Ocala, Rice Horse Stable, they're one of the keys to our success. So not only are they raising and developing all of the young horses in the pipeline, they're helping us select those horses. And that team that you put in place and that selection process that you instill is very important. We've put it together now for about 10 years. Every year we try and enhance it a little bit more. One, just from experience and education, and two, we have bigger budgets every year because of the success that we've had. But what the Rice family has been able to teach us and the partnership that we've formed with our trainers, that's really helped us buy better and better horses. And the Saratoga Special had a great article on this yesterday. When we were buying our yearling crop 2 years ago at Fasig-Tipton here in Saratoga, K-Cup was on our top 5 or 6 fillies of the list that we created. And she was probably on the bottom of that list kind of going into the sale. And the last day of the sale, we kept on looking at the top 5 or 6 horses that we liked. And every time we saw her, she moved up, and we upgraded her in our grading system, and we liked her more and more. And I was probably the most critical of her. And the Rice family kept on pushing me, like, no, Dan, this is the best horse. This is the best horse. And they were right. And we ended up buying her. She ended up being our kind of favorite filly in the sale. And to have a stake win at Saratoga, as a 3-year-old, it makes that whole process worth it.
You know, it's interesting being a part of your group now for 2 years. It's become more evident to me. You could have, you know, the best horse, but the stars have to align properly, right? From like the horse being healthy, the track, the weather, the jockey, the post. Like so much has to go right in order for your horse to win. Yesterday was just, again, a very magical moment and a bucket list for me. And I thank you and Vince for allowing me to be a part of it. Thank you so much. Before we let you go, folks listening, folks watching, if they want to learn more about Final Furlong or how they can invest in your horses, how can they do that?
Sure. Go to finalfurlongracingstable.com. It has all of our contact information. It has our latest offerings. It has our full list of stable members and the horses that we have running. And reach out to us. We're happy to talk to you. And you can go to Go Final Furlong on X platform and communicate with Vince there. And we'll be happy to bring new members into the family.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We're going to bring Dan Torgman back. Just to recap, again, how he's playing which, by the way, how are you playing the Belmont Stakes? Who's your horse? Who do you like on Saturday?
So I think I'm going with the front-running Speed. Baffert Speed in the Belmont I think is dangerous. I might play against the 2 favorites and go with the Baffert horse.
Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have Dan Torgman come back in set with us, and we'll get his picks and plays heading to Belmont next. All right, Dan Torgman back on set with us. Had you on earlier. Again, you love Hill Road. Based on our conversation, I said I'd go to the window, win, play, show with him. Take us to the window. Dan, how are you playing the Belmont Stakes?
So I'm going to bet trifectas with Hill Road, the 1. I'm going to also, as much as I think Baeza's price is going to be short, I think he's going to hit the board, so I'm going to include the 6. And then Journalism, 167 would be my trifecta. You could bet it for $1, trifecta box, that's $6. If you bet that for $5, it's a $30 ticket. So depending on your budget, you could scale up or down. But I think for me, the horses are going to be 1, 6, and 7, my trifecta.
Fantastic. Again, giddy up. Di Lorenzo loves Baeza, so you've got that. Before we end the show, again, I am so appreciative and I'm so blessed that you introduced me to Vince Roth and Final Furlong in Stake and Stardom. And yesterday was an absolute bucket list for me. I am still high today based on K-Cup winning, and I can't wait. Fingers crossed. Health-wise, she's great. She came out of this race well, and Final Furlong will have her ready to strut her stuff again come sometime in August, and I'll definitely be back up here in Saratoga,
That's awesome.
hopefully celebrating again with you and ABR. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And look, it genuinely brought us joy to see you there, to have the cameras on you for that moment, to capture it. I mean, that's like having like a recording of your wedding or your baby's first pictures, right? Like this is my thing that we birthed, right? Like we created this relationship and this connection with this horse, and taking your followers and the people who turn to you for sports news and information on that journey is valuable to the world of horse racing. We appreciate it as an industry and as a sport. So thank you for opening yourself up to it and being a part of it.
Thank you. And so in ABR, you guys actually shot a package, a story around Vince and I yesterday. When and where will that be available?
Yeah, you can watch the full piece. I think we've got a preview here that you've seen, but you can watch the full piece here probably by Friday or Saturday. If you're watching this, it's late Friday, early Saturday. You could go to americasbestracing.net, check it out there. Also check out all of our social media channels, ABR Live on X or at America's Best Racing on Instagram, TikTok.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So again, just want to give a big shout out to our sponsors, Naira Bets. Bet the Belmont Stakes. Experience the thrill of the sport of kings and queens with Naira Bet's horse racing app. Again, fast, easy, and secure. And here's what's special. Get your free $25 Belmont Stakes plus a $200 deposit match at nairabets.com/Anita25. How great is that? So thank you, Naira, for teaming up with us. Also, Final Furlong, as well as Cold Flame Ventures, and of course, phenomenal venue here, broadcasting at the Whitman Brewing Company. Hopefully we can do this again because this place is awesome. If you're heading up to Saratoga at all this horse racing season, this is a place you absolutely must come to. I want to thank all our guests, and a big shout out to our producer, Anthony Moran, who's phenomenal, just really great, and did a great job setting up our set here. Everybody, good luck at the Belmont Stakes, and we'll see you soon.